Welcome back to r/neighbors from hell, where people share stories about their crazy neighbors. And if you're new to my channel, please don't forget to subscribe to join our amazing community. And without any further ado, let's dive right into the stories. And the first one is titled "Snob Neighbor Built an Illegal Mansion on My Inherited Property. I Turned It into a Homeless Shelter." My grandparents lived in the Czech Republic, and when they died I inherited both their home and land. It was a beautiful piece of land, and while I did not think I wanted to move out to such a rural area and live full time, I could not bring myself to sell it. I had no solid idea of what I wanted to do with all the land, but I knew the first thing I needed to do was to get a really good look at all of it. In their older years, the place kind of became deserted looking. When they were younger, they used most of the land to farm, so now it was all just empty as they stopped farming years ago. I was thinking of trying to do something with the land that would be low maintenance, so I would not need to live on the property, just check in or hire some help. I had thoughts like an orchard, or maybe even renting the space out to a beekeeper to use. One thing that is important to know about me is that I am what people consider an over-planner. I don't like to just jump into anything without looking things over carefully. The first thing I wanted was blueprints or a layout of the land I had to work with, including dimensions and everything. When I got them though, there seemed to be something that was a bit of a problem. On the far side of the property, that was clearly marked as mine now, was a house. House is the wrong word to really describe it, because the place was a mansion, and I would say about 90% of it was sitting right on my grandparents' old farm, where they would not have noticed it once they got older and stopped roaming the grounds as much. This is when I got to meet the neighbors, and let me tell you right now, it was not a great first introduction. Even though there were two of them, only the husband seemed to speak to me, and of course I will translate all of what he said into English for this story. Neighbor: "Are you here to finally shut down the old disgusting farm?" Me? Why would I shut the place down? I was genuinely confused by this question. Neighbor: "The old man that runs it is probably going to die soon. Better put him in a home and sell the land, so decent people can move in." Me: "That old man you're talking about happens to be my grandfather who passed away. This is my land now, and I actually came over here to talk to you about that." Neighbor: "I see. You want to know how much we paid for our property. So you know if you're getting a good deal when you sell the land, right?" Me: "I'm not selling the land. I see on the blueprints that the land where your house is built is actually part of my land, so I wanted to come over to talk about that. I did not come so you could insult my dead grandfather to my face." I was clearly angry at this point and did not even try to hide it from him. He tried to feed me some story about how the land was actually his and he bought it off of my grandfather to do him a favor. However, then a few minutes later, the story was that the blueprints were wrong and this land never actually belonged to my family. And well, if you are going to lie, at least stick to a single story instead of throwing a bunch at me and seeing which ones work. Don't worry, I did not believe anything he told me, and I knew the type of person this guy was. You can tell from the clothing and the way that they looked down on my grandparents for being farmers that they were complete snobs. I just want to mention that them being farmers got my father an education and a chance to have a really good life. Anyway, I was not going to argue and instead just paid to get someone out to survey the land and compare it with the official records. If they did buy the land, then it would be shown as theirs and the whole thing would be over. I would just make sure to never engage with them again. Well, the survey got done and it turns out that the very bad liar was actually lying about everything. And yes, they owned a small plot of land next to my grandparents' farm where they put the other 10% of their house and had a small yard. I could even see they bought it and built the house after my grandmother was dead and my grandfather could not get all the way to the end of the property anymore. They took advantage of an old man so they could build a mansion just for the two of them. I filed a lawsuit against them right away in order to get their mansion torn down for being built illegally on my property. I might have wanted to let them keep it and pay me a set amount a year to use the land. After they spoke about my grandfather like that though, I was not going to do them any favors. They did not have a single leg to stand on and came to me begging to let them keep the mansion and the property. I told them that they did not own it and I was going to take it to court. The snobs wanted to make some kind of deal so that they would not lose everything. So we worked out a deal that I really liked and they did not seem to like one bit. Due to what they did, they could have owed me years of money for being on my property illegally, not to mention money for building on the property without owner consent and paying to deconstruct it if that was what I wanted. I could have run them broke if I wanted, but I started thinking about my grandfather. I knew that if he was alive, he would not like to hear a story of how I ruined two people even if they were horrible human beings. Instead, I came up with a solution that would help me solve my problem with them and me not knowing what to do with the land. They had to move out of their mansion and either sell their actual property or build a smaller home within their limits. The mansion, I decided, did not need to be destroyed and instead could be repurposed. I got in contact with an organization and soon the mansion that the snobs were living in was now a homeless shelter. That was something I knew my grandfather would have been proud of me doing. I even am allowing the use of my land for planting so that maybe the homeless people can grow their own food to a degree. Or more buildings can be created to house or help more people in need. That is still not known as of right now. However, back to the snobby neighbors. The two of them decided they were just too good to live near a homeless shelter and ended up having to move somewhere else. They also did end up paying me back some money in legal fees and for using the land without permission. I did not go after them for everything I could have. The property did not actually get sold to my knowledge because other people also did not want to live next to the fanciest looking homeless shelter in all of Europe. I am mainly glad that I was able to do something good with the land while at the same time not let those people get away with trying to take advantage of my old grandfather. And yeah, ripe stars, I would say that was definitely a beautiful way of solving the entire conflict. Getting revenge on awful, entitled snobs by doing something good. It cannot get any better than this. Either way, if you still enjoy the stories about entitled neighbors, people and crazy HOAs, then I would really appreciate it if you could subscribe to the channel if you haven't already and maybe even like the video if you enjoy the content. Thank you so much in advance, your help is very much appreciated. And the next one is titled, I might press charges against my neighbor. This is crazy, but it just happened this past weekend. I, male 45, was alone and taking a nap for a couple of hours upstairs and came down about 4 PM. I walk down and see a man walking out of my front door. I recognized him as my neighbor. We live in a townhouse complex and he lives right across from us. I confronted him, he apologized profusely and said he was drunk. Yeah, at 4 PM, and made a mistake. I could smell the alcohol on his breath. It seemed believable, but I decided to make a police report anyway. They questioned him, but his story was believable, so that was the end. I go back inside, frazzled, but thought it was over. I checked my phone and saw auto messages about recent charges on my credit card from a convenience store near my house for several beers while I was sleeping. I called the police again and they were able to get a copy of the store's security footage a couple days later. Surprise, surprise, it is him. The police arrested him this morning and he confessed to taking my wallet from my house using my credit card and then returning it back to my house. He did not even take the cash in the wallet. The whole thing is so bizarre. I would laugh about it, but then I think, what if my wife and kids were home? What could have happened? And then I just get angry all over again. And now I just got a letter from his wife saying how he is a drunk and getting help and begging me not to press charges. Part of me feels for her and wonders, am I the douchebag here? But the other part thinks I should not only press charges, but also sue them into oblivion, forcing them to move at the very least. Edit. The door was unlocked. We are in a gated community, so I just dropped my guard. The neighbors have money, so I have no idea why he did what he did. Maybe just to see if he could get away with it. And by the way, ripe stars, quick question in between. If you also live in a gated community, do you usually leave your doors unlocked? Personally, I would never really do that, because I would always be paranoid that someone might steal something from my home. Anyway, the guy is being held in jail pending a court appearance this Friday, likely will be released on bail, so no opportunity for him to apologize yet if he does. Also, I'm not angry about the money, I'm angry about the invasion of privacy and the fact that I won't have peace of mind in my own home from now on. I'm angry because of what could have happened if my wife and kids were home, and also angry for how much worse it could have been in general. I will be meeting with the wife tonight as she keeps begging for a meeting. Update: a lot of people have asked for updates, so here it is. I could not figure out how to post as an update, so I'm just posting as an edit here. I met with the wife and wow, it was interesting. I told her I would meet in a coffee shop with my wife, and I also recorded the conversation just in case. She didn't know I was recording. Yeah, that was bad, but I'm glad I did it, as you will see. Meeting time comes and my wife has to work late and she cannot make it. So it is just the two of us. She is apologizing profusely and tells me how he has been a drunk for years and used to love drinking and gambling until he basically spent all of their savings a couple years ago on bad bets and they almost lost the house until her parents bailed them out. He does not work anymore, but yet she keeps saying she loves him and is a good man, blah blah blah. She also confirmed that she controls all the finances, credit cards, etc. as a result and just gives him an allowance to live on. She then asks if I can please drop the charges, etc. I let her know that I checked into it and it does not matter if I drop the charges now. They have video of the crime, his fake statements, the credit card company is now involved, etc. So they have a rather long list of crimes and don't really need me to move forward. She then starts crying. I sat there for a very uncomfortable 5 minutes or so, wondering if I should leave. She then rather suddenly snaps out of it and the conversation goes like this. Her: look, I'm sure we can work something out. I've noticed you many times around my place, so maybe this is just me justifying my actions. But I can make you very happy, while grabbing my hand and caressing it. Maybe you can just tell the police you made a mistake, that you actually let him use your card and just forgot. Me, as I slowly pull my hand away, sorry, but I don't think so. I should tell the police I lied and also to the credit card company? Pretty sure I would be joining your husband in jail. Her: come on, that would not happen. I've seen you look at me. You're saying you're not tempted? Saying you don't think I'm attractive? She is, to her credit. Me: wow. So the answer is no and it is time for me to leave. Sorry for your situation, but it's out of my hands now. Her face becomes cold and hard looking. Fine, I can easily turn this around, you know. Who do you think will believe you when I tell the police you tried to assault me? I know when you're home alone. All I have to do is pick a time when you don't have an alibi. Do you really want me to do this? Me, now I am pissed off. Okay, well, just to let you know, I have recorded this entire conversation, so good luck with that. See you in court. And then I walked out to her screaming obscenities and threats with the whole coffee shop staring at her and me. I guess I'm not going there again. So that's it for now, I guess. After the exchange with the wife, I am now seriously considering suing them for the mental stress and seeing if I can force them to move. I should not have to keep stressing every time I see them. And yeah, Ripe Stars, unfortunately there have been no further updates to this story so far. However, if there are any future updates, I will post them in a future video. However, seeing as the post is already a few weeks old, I don't think there will be any future updates. And the next one is titled, I reported my neighbors to the landlord. I will try to be brief. I live in a townhome and every townhome in this community has a small fenced-in backyard that goes up to a sidewalk and then has 2 parking spaces against the sidewalk. In my lease, it is clearly stated that there is no playing or riding bikes, scooters, etc. in the parking lot ever, and no bikes and scooters, etc. on the sidewalks. These are not public sidewalks, but are walkways along the back of the units. One of my neighbors, I will call her Angela, is a single mom with 3 kids, guessing the ages I would say 7, 6 and 4, or at least too young for kindergarten. I live in between her and another mom who Angela is friends with. I have overheard enough from them talking to know that Angela lost custody of her kids last fall and just got them back a few weeks ago. This is why I kind of feel like I am in the wrong here. On Saturday, Angela sent her kids outside to play. She was not out there with them, but I think she has the bigger two kids watch the youngest. They were all racing bikes around the parking lot, which is against the rules, but I've never reported it in the past because it did not affect me and I don't like to snitch. The older two kids must have ditched the 4-year-old because she was just biking by herself on one of those push bikes with no pedals. I am backing up into my parking spot so I can unload groceries, and my neighbor, the mom, is in her car next to mine and honks and yells at the little girl because she was not looking and was about to ride off the sidewalk into my parking spot while I am backing up into it. She yells at the little girl to stay away from cars. 15 minutes later, I go back out to put new registration stickers on my car and the little girl is still out there alone. She then rides right up beside my car, loses her balance and hits my car with her front tire. There is no damage, but I am pissed. However, I don't yell or swear. I tell the girl she needs to stay away from my cars and there is no playing in the parking lot. The little girl's mom walks by a few seconds after the impact and asks what happened. I tell her that her kid hit my car. She tells her kid the same, stay away from cars. Sunday, her kids are back in the parking lot, mom is not around and they are riding by cars and between them again. I take my dogs out to poop and the little girl runs over to the edge of my yard, stares at me and starts barking at my dogs. I just stood there looking at her like what the hell is going on, but she kept it up until I went back inside. I was not going to escalate the issue until that happened. I reported the bike incidents to the landlord. I named her and her address and provided my security video of the two incidents by my car, and I'm very strongly worded about it. The landlord sends notice to everyone that there's absolutely no playing or biking in the parking lots for anyone and then tells me they are writing up Angela for lease violations. I just wanted her kids to stay away from my cars and dogs. And Ripe stars, since this story was from r/am I the butthole, do you think that OP is the a-hole in the story or not? Let us know what you think in the comments. And the next one is titled Neighbor Complained to the HOA About My Yard. So I have a Karen for a neighbor. She is a grumpy old woman with a live-in son in his 40s and no other family or friends. And when I say she's a Karen, we are talking to the point that she came onto my property to yell at our landscaper about a boulder he was installing on our property. Something about believing it would fall over onto more of our property. A few months after we moved in, we received a letter trying the HOA saying they had received complaints and asking that we make sure we are mowing, watering and maintaining. I chalked it up to moving into a nicer neighborhood and made an effort to mow twice a week instead of my normal once. I added a little time to the sprinklers and figured all was good. Apparently it was not all good, as we received another letter stating the complaints had continued and the HOA wanted to talk with us to see what the problem was. I should note, we had just moved in not that long ago and had not landscaped the back yet, so we were letting our dogs pee on the front at night, which then led to the inevitable patches of bright green grass that grows stupid fast. Now, I will freely admit I don't keep my yard to the same level of some of my neighbors, but it was in perfectly good shape outside some green spots in an otherwise average looking yard, and I do my best to keep things mowed and looking decent. Turns out our grumpy Karen had taken real offense to this and started complaining to the HOA. The hearing ended up bringing mostly incoherent rambling, but the bottom line was she didn't like how our lawn looked with the green spots. While the HOA agreed this was not her business and definitely not theirs, I decided she was right and we should stop letting our dogs out in the front to pee, as I also don't like the green spots. Now I put them on the leash and let them do their business in her yard. Read tree lawn. And I am clearly not the only one, as her entire yard is now covered in pee spots and dead spots on her actual lawn, which my dogs don't step for on. I'm pretty sure she has complained about everyone with a dog, and now the entire neighborhood takes their dogs to her yard. The best part though, she actually does a bad job at taking care of her lawn, weeds and crap grass everywhere. She just waters it almost non-stop. So today I got to report her to the HOA for her yard looking like total crap. If it were any other house, there are much worse, I wouldn't care at all, but this lady wanted lawns without spots, so I am just doing my part to enforce her rules.
Who's playing today? I wanna play. Oh. Predator cat. Oh, dangerous predator. Where is it? Where is it? Oh, she's too quick for the camera. I think I will use the 0.5 mode. Disney, where is it? Up here? Ooh. Is someone too lazy to play? No. Ooh. This one she sometimes likes to. You like this one today or not, Disney? Oh, but my Disney is cute. Oh, such a cute cat. Oh, Disney is really a cutie. Really good cat. Cute personality. Never in a bad mood, it seems. Always wants to cuddle. That's why she's the little fluffy cuddle monster house cat. Right, Disney? And now time for some cleaning. Right. But I'm curious, one thing that I wondered, sometimes at night when she sees her tail, then she likes to chase her tail. But it's only in specific situations that she goes crazy about her tail. Curious what triggers that for cats, because they're not always interested in the tail, you know, like now she's not interested, but sometimes they're crazy when they see the tail. It's always really funny. Anyway guys, thank you very much for watching, and Disney and me will see you again tomorrow. Don't bite me. Okay guys, see you tomorrow.
And ripe stars, with this we have reached the end of the video. However, if you still cannot get enough of my content, then I would highly suggest to check out my endless binge watch playlist, which will soon show up in the left corner of the screen. In addition, I would really appreciate it if you could not only subscribe to the channel, but also turn on the bell notifications, which you can do by clicking on the little bell icon right next to the subscribe button. This will help my channel tremendously, and this will make sure that you don't miss any of my videos. Furthermore, if you want to see additional ripe content that I don't post on YouTube, then I would suggest to head on over to patreon.com/ripeyoutube for more than 50 exclusive videos that you will not see anywhere else. Thank you so much for your amazing daily support, and I hope to see you again tomorrow.